intro and the being on time, and somehow it's my fault that we're bantering live.
All right.
It's
You guys
not
can
your
go
fault.
back to arguing over shapes now. We're live.
I
Yeah,
like.
I guess
being
everybody can
circle-
kind of see this for a second here. So the question that's happeing is if we should be squares
I mean,
or
Kyle's always a square, so
squircles.
it's not a thing. That's not a shape. That's.
Squircle is the trademarked shape of the Corvette steering wheel.
I refuse to believe that's a thing.
Blame Mary Barra and General Motors.
I'm not going to blame Marion Barry for anything. So we're circles right now.
Yeah, when we're not circles, you whine about it. So
I just need to get used
I
to
didn't
not
like
being
the circles at first, but they kind of grew on me.
The circles always grow on you. Like that's the kind of point of the circumference just gets wider and wider.
Phil wants us to be
So,
squares.
it's
This
true.
Is not, this is not the libertarian group for squares, okay?
Phil just wants to be squares.
So I mean, at this point, I think we're good to roll the intro. Yeah.
Always.
But we were live. We're already live. We have to roll the intro.
We're already live and we have to roll the intro. Let's banter, everyone. Enjoy the banter.
Damn!
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to an all-new episode of The Business List. We are LP Alliance International Coach. I'm getting my outline.
Hey, we're
Let's
working
mix
on
up
that.
already.
That's coming soon.
It's coming up in the next story. We're LP Alliance, an inter-caucus coalition, rebuilding the Libertarian Party and revolutionizing the liberty movement. My name is Amanda Griffiths. I'm joined by Jake Porter. I'm joined by Rose Leatherman. I'm not joined by Kyle Davis. He's just here. Jeremy's not here at all. Jeremy is a figment of your imagination, and you should be concerned and speak to a provider.
Hey, no attention to the man behind the whatever controls are required to run this podcast.
It's vaguely purple. Is that like a purple wash that you got there, Jeremy?
He's got the black light to let you know that it's not covered in semen.
What do we talk about?
Please ignore Kyle as well as yourself, Jeremy. Everyone, we have stories to get to as forecast in my bungled introduction. So
In her bungalow.
in my bungalow and my bungled introduction, Kyle and I are currently committee members on the Libertarian International. That's the working name for the International Alliance of Libertarian Parties. We assisted with its reconstitution this past summer, and the International has been growing like crazy. We're adding parties from countries all around the world, libertarian parties all over, including our first party from Africa was added today. Or rather recommended for adding, which will be approved at the Congress in February. But in all of this, in this process, we happen to catch the attention of the Russian government's Ministry of Justice. And no, I'm not making that up. When we heard about
Vladimir,
this
it's okay.
when we
Vlad,
heard about,
no, we're definitely
when we heard about this
on the right
initially,
side, Vlad.
we
swear.
thought it might be a hoax. And we looked into it. Indeed, so the Russian Ministry of Justice has a list of what are called undesirable organizations, which already sounds terrifying. These are mainly NGOs, but really can also be any kind of ideological organization that is sanctioned within the country, is forbidden to associate with this organization within the country. That organization is prohibited from contacting people within the country. And so, yes, we are on the undesirable organization list for the Russian Ministry of Justice, which is really fantastic for an organization that's reconstituted mere months ago, not even half a year ago. The Russian Ministry of Justice decides.
It's getting attention.
I'm sure it was my article, but more on that later. No, this is a statement in part from the International Alliance of Libertarian Parties, saying the International Alliance of Libertarian Parties takes note of its recent designation as an undesirable organization by the Ministry of Justice of the Russian Federation. We will take this designation and wear it as a badge of honor, a recognition of the work we have done and we will keep doing. We condemn in the strongest terms the Russian authorities' open persecution of libertarian organizations and individuals both within Russia and abroad. This latest decision is but one new step in a long series of moves by an authoritarian government that targets anyone who has dared to criticize Vladimir Putin and his regime. Being classified as undesirable to a totalitarian state is evidence that our movement is uncomfortable to the enemies of liberty. Being called undesirable by a regime responsible for hundreds of thousands of civilian deaths only shows that our activism poses a threat to a corrupt and bloody establishment. Our alliance is committed to the safety of all its partners and is in contact with all of its members on the legal ramifications of such a sanction, while we work to guarantee the security of all those who might be directly affected by this designation. We believe that Russia poses a global threat to freedom in the 21st century and recognize that it has been engaging in a dangerous hybrid warfare campaign that uses disinformation, manipulation, cyber attacks, electoral interference, persecution, sabotage, malign political influence, economic coercion, proxies, lawfare, and a partridge in a pear tree, to advance Vladimir Putin's despotic agenda and neutralize opposition domestically and abroad. We continue to condemn Russia's attacks against libertarian movements at home and abroad, as can be seen in the targeted attacks that Russia and its proxies have waged against libertarian organizations. These especially include the persecution of libertarian parties based in countries controlled by pro-Russian regimes such as Gerchi More Freedom in Georgia, the United Civic Party in Belarus, and others, etc. We call on all our members to distance themselves from any political, institutional, or economic ties they might hold, if at all, with the Russian government, Russian state-owned companies, and any organization or entity, public or private, that acts on behalf of or to promote the interests of the Russian government. We're banned in Russia. It's no,
your ties to the Libertarian Party did get you away with that. I mean, I thought that would be.
Well, I think that might have been. They realized that that we were not
exactly what happened.
What happened?
So remember, this only happened after Comrade Martin has reported that we're secretly leftist infiltrators trying to ruin everything, and thereby we're anti-Russia. This is clear. He's reported back to the Kremlin. And we're fucked. That's
no. What really happened?
All of our excellent relations with Putin. Bird.
I think they learned they were disinvited from our rallies. For the
I bet that Angela actually turned us in. You know, the FBI. She wasn't getting anywhere when she tried to turn us into them. So she's like, "Hey, I'll just
call the Russian Ministry of Justice.
I'll just call what's that pedophile there? Scott Ritter.
Donald Trump?
Yeah.
Pedophile.
Yes, also Donald Trump, but that kind of should have been, a preview for what was to come. And I supported that rally at the time too. Like, I mean, I still support the idea. Like, I defended the hell out of that because the idea wasn't bad, but yeah.
Yeah, imagine being Russia and organizing a Rage Against the War Machine rally, but it's par for the course.
It's proof that we must have been Russian assets, but we fell out of favor with the Russian regime, and that's why we're undesirables.
No, I've been looking forward to being banned in Russia for quite some time. Now, granted, I thought it would be Agitpop that would get me there, the Agitpop album, and the Agitpop album is in fact banned in Russia, but not for exciting reasons. It's merely because of copyright laws. But yes, now I'm directly banned in Russia, and so is Libertarian International, and we do indeed wear it as a badge of honor.
I've been kicked out of better countries than that, so I'm not.
Really? What country have you been kicked out of? Oh, okay. So.
Yeah, I want to know, like, what country do we get kicked out of next?
The U.S.
Greenland. I mean,
United
the U.S.
States. Probably at this rate.
Yuri Maltsev was an economist for the Soviet Union, defected to the United States, and one time he always said that he had been he's passed away now, sadly, but he always said that he had been basically kicked out of one country, didn't want to get kicked out of the United States next.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. I think we should just have a punch card or something, an anti-passport, if you will, of all the countries from which we're banned. Be fantastic. So yes, that's and we continue. The Libertarian International continues to add numerous member countries amid some internal sorting out, I think we can say. Now, moving on, nations at home, Jake, you recently published the first of, I think it's the first in a new series of yours on the Libertarian Party's relationship with MAGA and Maha. This was published on February 3rd on your Substack, the article Flirting with MAGA Money, the Shady RFK Trump Scheme That Nearly Destroyed the Libertarian Party, Part 1. So tell us about this series and how does it differ from the previous ones?
Well, this series, in the past, I've looked over what McArdle herself had received from Maha, and this will dig into that a little bit. But I'm now digging more into the RFK Libertarian Party joint fundraiser in general, and also what RFK Jr., what Donald Trump got out of it, which is something I've not really focused on in the past. What was different in this part one of the series was probably the most boring part, but it's critical to set up the basis of where, RFK Jr. was definitely interested in running for the Libertarian Party. Wouldn't that have been something if he actually would have got on as a Libertarian and then dropped out? Mm-hmm. Think about what that would have done to ballot access. And they certainly appears we're looking at it. I mean, I go into this, how they were, talking to Libertarians, trying to bring Libertarians on board. They were trying to, the Natural Law Party was another party that I mentioned in there, that they were trying to get ballot access by paying someone, I think it was $10,000 a month for ballot access. They were definitely wanting to take over these third parties for the ballot access, obviously, but what other purposes could that be if he's going to drop out and endorse Donald Trump? I also get into just a little bit, which we've known about. Some of the stuff has been public, but there is the ads. I mean, we funded, and this will come out in a later part of the series in more detail, his Falcon hunt with Donald Trump Jr. And it's got paid for by the Kennedy Victory Fund. That was paid for, of course, by the Libertarian National Committee, indirect. But we sponsored this where people could donate up to $50,000 for a guaranteed ticket to go hunt with RFK Jr. and Donald Trump Jr. I don't know why anyone would want to do that. It's stupidity, but some people did, it appears. And
I mean, I would have voted for the Falcon. I did see a post about it. Yeah, and I thought that Falcon looks fucking majestic. I would support the Falcon for president.
But you would support that, but you wouldn't support the other.
No.
Do you want the Falcon to be the symbol for the Libertarian Party?
I actually want that eagle that attacked Donald Trump. That was cool. You remember that eagle that was in the office and attacking?
So we should have an eagle carrying away Donald Trump's toupee.
A falcon carrying away Donald Trump's toupee.
We've already got the toupee on the logo, so we can just improvise it a little bit and just do a slight rebrand. But this also gets into the details. Most importantly, I wanted to get was the efforts that the Libertarians for Kennedy took to kick Chase Oliver off the ballot, including sending legal letters to the LNC, trying to get the National Committee to remove Chase Oliver, and contacting state parties, asking them to put RFK Jr. on the ballot instead of Chase Oliver. And Angela McArdle, which this has been touched upon before, but she tried to remove Chase Oliver from the Colorado ballot and then misled the National Committee that she did it until Karen Ann Harlow's public records request came out from the Colorado Secretary of State, which showed that she was trying to remove the electors. Of course, removing the electors would remove Chase Oliver.
And we have a question. How much money is the LP and state affiliates getting from this deal? It was a 90-10, 90 in favor of RFK. Is that correct? So 90% of funds raised from the Joint Fundraising Committee went to RFK.
Well, right. And ultimately, it's very interesting. And we'll get into this later on in the series. But it's interesting that when you donate money to, normally people don't donate large sums of money to a campaign, one, after the candidates dropped out, and two, after the election is long over. And then when that happens, they don't normally get an appointment or a presidential pardon after that happens.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It
Yeah.
kind of makes you wonder what the agreement here was, doesn't it?
A little bit. Any foreshadowing of what's to come in this series?
Well, it's going to detail more of this, including some interesting things about the Joint Fundraising Committee and how it came to be. It's going to detail a little bit more detail than what we've had before. There will be one kind of scandal, I think, that comes out in the next part of the series that's probably been touched upon, but not really examined that much. And that includes, I would say, more fraud
Okay,
in pushing this Joint Fundraising Committee on.
exciting. Well, yes, we did want to forecast that and have people, take a look at Jake Porter's Substack. It is easy to remember. It's jakeporter.substack.com. And again, he has a new article out today, first in a series about the LNC's really relationship with Trump.
A deal with the Antichrist. If you heard his speech at the prayer breakfast today, you'll see.
I did not hear the speech at the prayer breakfast.
It was the
Does anyone want to recap? There's craziness.
Oh yeah,
Thomas
he
Massey
basically
a moron.
insulted Christians right at the prayer breakfast, and these people still think he's one of them for some reason.
I gotcha.
It's honestly
Okay,
hilarious to watch.
interesting. We were talking earlier about this was supposed to be my segue, and then I got too excited about Jake's piece. So we were talking earlier about being banned from countries. That might be helped along a little bit by the Department of Homeland Security, which, as Rose flagged for us this past week, has been demanding that tech companies turn over user information about critics of the Trump administration. Now, this is nothing really new. I mean, administrations, since the advent of the internet have been wanting to do that and have been asking to do that, in some cases successfully. But yes, this comes from TechCrunch. So there are administrative subpoenas that Homeland Security is using. These are different to judicial subpoenas. Of course, a judicial subpoena requires a judge, but judges have really gotten in the way of the Trump administration, not really given the Trump administration what they want this past go around. So we have to go around those. Administrative subpoenas are issued by federal agencies. What could possibly go wrong? And that allows investigators to look for all kinds of information about folks from tech and phone companies absent judicial oversight. They can look at emails, they can look at online searches, they can look at location data. And this is Bloomberg and TechCrunch reporting on it, that they've been targeting now critics of the Trump administration, trying to get Meta, for instance, to turn over personal information about people who run anonymous accounts. The ACLU is coming to their defense in some regards. A new report by the Washington Post on Tuesday also found that an administrative subpoena was used to seek information from Google about an American retiree within hours of him sending a critical email to the lead attorney for Homeland Security. And so this is a little bit disturbing, I think, especially in the aftermath of the Verizon weirdness, the Verizon shutdown. But on the other hand, it's not really anything new. Administrations have been trying to do this for ages. It's just that now they don't really care about being prohibited by a judge.
Right. It's almost like we tried to warn people about this, back in the early 2000s with the Patriot Act, that they kept saying was only going to be temporary until they caught the terrorists. Well, now I'm sure this measure will only be temporary until they catch all the domestic extremists and subversives and other undesirables. Okay, then everybody can go back to having their constitutional protections. Okay, we promise this time. We just need one more power grab. This time they need to know if you're saying anything that's critical of the Trump administration, because it means you might be a terrorist.
Exactly.
But, I speak out against the Trump administration pretty publicly. I think he's a demented old man that doesn't know what he's doing, a liberal, a moron.
Yeah, for as
And,
long as we still can.
Yeah, I
We can
mean,
say fuck Trump.
but there are certain times and places where you do need that ability to discuss things anonymously.
Mhm.
And if that goes away, that definitely hurts. I mean, look what's happening in Iran right now. When people can't, that's when totalitarian regimes can do absolutely horrible things.
Mhm.
And Trump is very much infatuated with these regimes. I think he likes the idea of being an all-powerful dictator. Like, I don't even think it's ideological. I don't think there is ideology behind this. It is just he really likes the idea of doing things that people say that he can't do. Honestly, like the judiciary was the worst thing that could possibly happen to a country under Trump. Because
Right.
like Trump is just deliberately going to flout anyone who tells him don't do that.
He can't seem to grasp why you're supposed to go through a process. He can't, like, he just sees
It's like those documents he
checks
stole,
and
right?
balances as,
I don't think he stole them for any
No.
purposes other than my documents,
Yeah,
right?
they're my
I can do
documents.
That
this.
was his
They
library.
said I couldn't. They
He
said I
needed a
couldn't.
reading chair.
Ergo,
Oh, in the
I'm
bathroom?
person, honestly. He's
Yeah.
very simple, really.
That's
Like
what
any
my reading
malignant, like any malignant narcissist, he wants to be worshipped and he wants to get revenge on people who he feels wronged him. That's pretty much it. Like, I don't think Trump himself has any real consistent principles. I think there are people operating as part of his administration that absolutely do and are pushing certain agendas, but Trump himself, but yeah, he does not want people to be allowed to criticize him. Like, this was an issue long before he was president, and this was why because I remember being like, okay, I think that the president's a figurehead. I think that he probably will be stopped from making too many major power grabs. However, he has demonstrated a lot of concerning behavior. He uses the power that he does have and that he does currently have to try to get back at people who he thinks wronged him. Like, he has repeatedly tried to sue people just for saying things that he didn't like.
Mhm.
He's gone after a ton of other high-profile people for making jokes about him. So yeah, this is not a new thing. Now that he can command his own private army that he's building, yeah.
It's an attempt, people compare him to Nazi Germany, and there are certain parallels you can look at of how the Republican Party has acted and how part of the country's acted. But I don't think it's the best comparison. A better comparison is probably to Viktor Orban in Hungary, right?
Mhm.
The same playbook they're using. They're going to go after the nonprofits that criticize him. We're going to claim everyone that opposes him is Soros funded, kind of like we've been having the Libertarian Party accusing us of that. And it's going to be that same playbook, and that's where they're getting it from. They're getting it from Trump, who got it from Viktor Orban. It's the same exact playbook. And yeah, they still have some level of free speech. You just can't find a media platform outside of your own stuff that's going to allow that speech to happen, because all the owners of the newspapers and such are too afraid to say it. Not that anything's necessarily happened to them, but it could happen to them. And Trump did that with the lawyers, going after them, after members of the media, trying to get them fired. It's just bullying tactics, and the same thing with politicians, right? He'll try to get them to lose their elections or to say horrible things about them, and to get them to stay silent. Or they'll get threats, death threats, and other things, and that will silence them.
There was another layer to this one where, everyone talks about like CBS and NBC, et cetera, being left and hating Trump. But they're owned by Trumpers now.
Yeah.
Either the CEO or the owner, depending on if it's a public company or not, et cetera, of every single one of the major news companies in both in digital, in newspaper, and on television, which are still the three biggest, which is different story. Every one of the top 5 in all of them is a Trumper. So we've got a regime where they say the media hates him. The media is controlled opposition.
Well, I was going to say, and I don't think in a way that they're directly they're getting directives like straight from the administration. It's that you have people in charge who are supportive of Trump, and then therefore the people in the newsrooms can only push so far, right?
Right.
Or have to
just
phrase
like we saw
things in
with
certain
60 Minutes, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Or the Washington
We're
Post. I mean, Bezos could have continued to fund the Washington Post, but instead they lay off a third of their staff or whatever it was.
Yeah.
He was fine funding this loss for years. It didn't matter, right up until the point that Trump wins the election, and then he's going to just back off because it's not good for business anymore. He opposes Trump for probably the same reasons we do, but then at the end of it, he's a businessman. He's got business to run.
It's one of the things that he talked about. One of the things that Bezos did at the WAPO was to make sure that they're not allowed to endorse candidates publicly anymore. And so, like, they've done this the entire time they've existed, and then starting in 2024, nope, not a thing anymore. Why? Because historically they don't endorse right-wing candidates. And so that would make him look bad. And the claim was for neutrality, but everyone knows that's not true.
The press has never been neutral. Like, that was the thing. People talk about how the press is biased now. Like, if you just go back and look at immediate post-American Revolutionary newspapers, they were horrendous. Like, they were honestly, it was an echo chamber. Again, people talk about echo chambers now. You could just pick a newspaper to read and get the information that you wanted to hear about whatever politician you loved or hated. Mostly hated.
Yeah, people are selective. Like when they look back on, the news used to be objective. Like, okay, they're thinking of like those nightly news shows where, some guy would get on stage and sit there and tell you what happened. But
they were objective, but they also parroted what the regime told them. So they weren't really objective.
I mean, maybe I am whitewashing this to a significant degree. I feel like there was some kind of halcyon era of the press around the Vietnam War era. And again, I could be completely making that up. I wasn't there, so it could just be what I've observed from very, very selected and curated newscast clips. But
wait, you dodged Vietnam?
I had bone spurs. But it feels like there was kind of a heyday around Vietnam, around Watergate, when people were actually trying to expose the dark underbelly of politics. And yes, I'm sure some of that was coordinated to a degree too, because people have always loved having a state in charge, but we had it for a bit and then it went away, and then we kind of got it again in that kind of organized oppo sense that Kyle's talking about. But we had independent journalism, and independent journalism was great until people started, getting huge and having to pander to specific bases to an extreme extent. Now, again, one thing I like about independent journalism still is that the turnover rate for popularity is very rapid. So when people start pandering too much, they just kind of get buried. But yeah, it comes and goes. The level of public spiritedness, for lack of a better word, as though there's only one instantiation of that we see with the press. So,
well, it depends too. I think there's certain eras in America where people cared more about objectivity, and people were, I want to say, less partisan. Maybe. I mean, you can look back and you can see presidents of different parties having very, high approval ratings back to back, different parties, and that you could have that. Now, that's not going to happen today.
Mm-hmm.
You've not seen that happen since, I guess Obama did for a while, but that's going to be the last time we may see that in a long time. Where no one's going to have those levels anymore, and certainly not the levels they had before. And I think there was a certain amount of objectivity that just came from the American population, just wanting that. And now
same thing that happened after 9/11, right? Where it wasn't that Bush was doing a good job, but suddenly everyone loved Bush because he was the wartime president now.
Well, yeah, and I think it's in a way it's not objective, but maybe there's a different arena of competition and of animosity, and then there are a few agreed upon things that are usually touted. I mean, again, this is part of what makes international conflict lucrative, right? So when you had post 9/11, everyone wanted to go after Saddam Hussein. Not everyone, but a lot of people were supporting the war in Iraq. During the Cold War, everyone wanted to defeat the dirty Soviets. So,
but not the clean Soviets.
Not the clean Soviets. The clean Soviets were fine. And then when you have less international involvement, until a certain point, until fairly recently, there was more internal division. Now the internal division can also be around international involvement. Again, just different iterations of that.
You can even see this within our own party, though, or within our own movement. Reason Magazine, for example. Reason Magazine had all this evidence on Angela McArdle and the corruption in the Libertarian Party, and they chose to ignore it. And they finally run the piece whenever I do this, and they bury the lead on this. They talk about Nikayla being the, I don't think it was Brian Doherty. I think imagine it was hired to the editors. They ignored it. They ignored the entire time. Now, I guess they don't really care about the Libertarian Party. That's fine.
But I think they have a Libertarian Party beat reporter, maybe two. Because you got Eric and
I think they were, for a while, I kind of thought that they were afraid of upsetting significant parts of their base. But no, I mean, they were kind of treated as the enemy of the Mises Caucus. And I mean, when I joined the Mises Caucus, because I was hoping they would be a more radical wing of the Libertarian Party, like, I was not a Reason fan either, because I viewed them as that very watered down, corporate friendly version of libertarianism. But yeah.
I am a Reason fan, by the way. I just want anyone from Reason who's watching this. I am a Reason fan. Yeah, no,
I am too, and I
cosplays as Nick Gillespie every week.
Oh no, there are some
I am too, and I think
they do get it right frequently,
but I think they dropped the ball on that, and I think they dropped the ball. You know, they can examine why that is, but they certainly didn't do the research that I think would have been objective and would have been helpful to the movement. Now, it's not their job,
right? Well,
and you know.
And again, I agree with you. I think that they did drop the ball on it. I can imagine thinking something like, okay, well, we don't want the Libertarian Party to be even more of a laughingstock, right, in major party politics, especially not right now. But yeah, it would have been, and you know, we don't want to give the impression that the Libertarian Party has, in fact, permanently sold out, right, to Republicans. But I agree with you that theirs was a bad call. There's bad calculation there.
But even within our own little media, I mean, we do have it's kind of interesting to watch. Even within our circles, we've got our own media, third party watch. You've got the stuff you do. It's there exists media and the ability to do investigations of this stuff now, which is great. And that's the importance of independent media. I think it's going to be more important, you know, as Kyle was talking about all these corporations being, you know, controlled opposition. It's going to be more important as people seek out, because I do think we probably keep some level of free speech throughout all this, and probably our ability to speak probably stays. Maybe not. It's in a bad spot if it doesn't, but likely, and people will go searching that out.
Well, it's free speech up until you come for the farmers. And I want to preface this story, by the way, by saying that, yes, my opinions on farmers are my own and do not necessarily reflect the views of anyone else on the Business List or an LP Alliance.
You're going to end up on the wrong side of a combine. You know that, right?
Look, my villain arc is going swimmingly, and I have to continue my my campaign against farmers. Guys, no, the more that you learn about the agricultural industry in America, the more radicalized you will be. It is the most common that they had up until fairly recently. In California, there was like Prod-Raisin-Verstka, where the raisin growers couldn't keep their own raisins. It is incredibly managed, incredibly centrally planned. Rose is now having a migraine, but the no, Kyle, no. But this actually does come from the aforementioned Reason magazine. There's a Florida food libel law, everyone. And so I looked up the original text of this, because the way that it was being reported, I was like, that can't be right. That has to be somewhat hyperbolic. There's a law in Florida that says that you cannot say things like untrue things that are not scientifically backed. Where have we heard that before? You can't disparage in a way that is harmful to producers of various agricultural goods. Now, I looked at the text of that law because I thought, no way can it be that broad. It has to be. It should have to be something like, oh, the makers of Dole fruit chunks are marinating their fruit chunks in disgusting syrup that is horrifically sourced, and Dole is terrible. No. It's if you make a claim about a food product that is protected, then it doesn't matter whether you call it a specific manufacturer. Any producer or representative of the producers of those food products can sue you. And now there have been revisions to this libel law that makes it even more loose, even more expansive, to include non-perishable items such as sugar. This is alienating a lot of the so-called MAHA base in Florida, because obviously a lot of MAHA people are like, Red 40 is terrible, sugar is trash, all of that. And again, significant population of Florida leans MAHA, leans pro-RFK. But Florida's doing this anyway. Why? Because of big agro. Because what matters is not the votes of the actual people. What matters are your financial constituents, the people who lobby you. So
yeah, what happened with MAHA anyway? Remember everyone was insisting we had to vote for Trump because he was gonna put healthy organic food right on your dinner table practically for free, and that he was gonna fix the healthcare system by curing cancer.
He was gonna come help you, like spot you on the bench, bro. Make sure you get your macros right, bro.
Now you can get sued if you question whether red dye 40 is a safe thing to be ingested.
But this is phenomenal, because I want to read you an excerpt from this. So this is allowing producers of perishable agricultural products to sue for losses resulting from disparaging claims, doesn't have to be about the producer themselves, about food safety, which the law defines as false information that is not based on reliable scientific facts and reliable scientific data. And again, they have now lowered the standard of knowing it to be false. So the standards are now looser and therefore easier to win a claim. It sounds
RFK
to me,
Jr. is going to be in court all the time.
It sounds to me like anything that would go against anti-vaxxers or skeptics of the COVID vaccination, right? Like known to be false. This is not backed by scientific data.
That doesn't necessarily, again, that doesn't mean that there isn't a reason to be concerned. It just means that the research has not been done.
For example,
if there's a food additive that there's some theoretical reason to believe may not be maybe harmful, and you want to do research to find out whether there's any evidence of it doing harm, yeah, good luck getting funded when most funding has to go through the state. And who funds the state? Who funds the politicians? Yeah, right. Politicized science is a serious problem.
Yes.
And yeah, so it's extremely easy to say, well, you can't make false claims, but if you can't actually do the research to figure out whether they're false or not.
Well, I'm pretty sure that the years ago, the FDA was against CoQ10. Now, if you go to a heart doctor and you have heart problems, they'll probably put you on CoQ10.
Yeah.
So there's been several examples of that where people were laughed at for saying that this actually appears to be helping in heart patients or whatever, or fish oil appears to be helping, or algae or whatever. There have been several examples of that where people were mocked and ridiculed, but actually had the correct opinion.
Oh, yeah.
The facts later on came out on their side, but research takes a long time to be done.
That, and it was something inconvenient usually, because it usually was the treatment they were proposing was usually something that can't be patented.
Yeah, and that was, I think, part of the problem with ivermectin as well. It's just like maybe it does help COVID, maybe it doesn't, but has an incredibly low risk profile. Now we're getting pulled off of YouTube. Has an incredibly
I think you
low
can say it
profile.
now. I think you're good now.
So yeah, I mean, now I'm probably going to get pulled off
Democrats
YouTube for saying that the COVID
power,
vaccinations probably didn't kill as many people as they didn't kill. I don't know. But
you mentioned the ivermectin though, and we think about, we should think about this from a war on drugs thing. You have people going over to the, the Orslins, the, whatever, and they're getting horse medicine
Mm-hmm.
because you're not letting them get the drugs that they have doctors that will give them. And so they're taking a higher dose than what they should be. And they're ending up hurting themselves because you have made something next to impossible to get in a, safe manner.
To the point where
Right.
even for conditions that it's prescribed for, or that it was prescribed for, people now it's non, it's persona medicine non grata, where
I wouldn't probably recommend taking parasite medicine long term, but somebody
No.
taking that short
I
term
mean,
probably not
for
going to do any
lice.
damage to them.
it's a
Yeah.
safe drug that's been in use for decades. But that's the thing. Like, okay, the idea that it was helpful for COVID. Okay, I'm skeptical of that. However, like,
If you have
at the end of the
parasites, it
day,
was
though,
probably very
well,
helpful
that's I
if you had
think
COVID,
that
too.
I think
Fair.
actually there was a study suggesting that it may have improved outcomes for COVID patients, but this was in a population that, like, in a country where intestinal parasites were more common. So, I mean, logically, like, if you treat the intestinal parasites that are leaching nutrients, you're probably going to make a person healthier, and it'll increase their ability to fight off viruses. So, yeah, like that it may have had a very indirect effect on COVID outcomes. There was something about a cell, like, I don't know, increased cell permeability, or I don't remember what the mechanism was, but like there may have been something there. I'm highly
like
skeptical.
indirect, yeah.
But like what really got to me though was like the sustained campaign to the sustained campaign to try to discredit it. Like, if it didn't work, it didn't work. It's just that people went, or rather, media companies and other powerful entities went all out on trying to ensure that no one would even talk about it. Like, that's an issue.
Yeah. And again, like to go back to this story about the farmers, it demonstrates that it doesn't really matter who your voting constituency is, right? I mean, the Maha people are very upset about this, and I would say rightly so, based on the reporting and based on the legislation that I was able to skim. But it doesn't matter, even though Florida is a pretty big Maha state. It's about, it's about the large corporations. It doesn't matter if you're using nice populist rhetoric. In the end, it is about the corporations and what they're able to offer you. So yeah, it's truly, my jaw dropped. Like, the more you learn about agriculture in this country, again, it's
well, I mean, it was, 25 years ago that Oprah got for criticizing, I think it was a hamburger or something on TV, and she was sued in a defamation suit. I think she won, but that was an example. So this stuff goes way, way back. And what surprises me is it hasn't really been challenged to the point of just being thrown out.
Right. Well, and again, it's now getting harder to challenge the point that it's being thrown out because of laws like this. And so here's something that I found very strange. So this is someone defending the legislation who's saying, let's see. What are they saying? Okay. This comes from William Simpson, who's the Florida Agricultural Commissioner, who's defending this bill. They say, why is food so expensive? It's because these same people that are saying we're anti-Maha are accusing farmers of polluting the Everglades, Simpson said. These same people are attacking farmers on a daily basis. And they're wondering why these farmers want to sell their land to developers. They're under constant bombardment from these outside groups that are special interests, and that's what they do. Ah, yes. The voters are the special interests that are bombarding food suppliers and, about the quality of their product. I mean, I feel like that's basically a free market principle, that if there is something wrong with a product, you raise hell about it, people figure out, or people learn, word travels, and then maybe the market responds. So this causing food to be expensive is not an argument. It upsets me.
And this is why we get the food pyramid and everything else that for a long time has just been established by big agriculture and the interests.
And now it's inverted. It's the inverted pyramid, but still established by big agriculture. Like the
they were doing a plate for a while. Like
yeah, they're doing
the plate actually made more sense, but
it did, yeah.
I remember when they switched to the plate too in schools. They're like, they gave us these little plate handouts. I'm like, this is still bullshit. This is still bullshit. It's just bullshit that's not telling me to eat 11 loaves of bread a day. But yeah, now it's what?
And they made dairy
Only
its own
10.
category.
6 to 11. Yeah.
Stupidest thing ever because, yeah, dairy lobbying.
Yeah, sorry, go on.
Oh no, yeah.
No, I was just saying the beef lobby was on the board of this new one. Yeah, it's all stakeholders all the way down. No pun intended.
Always. Oh, but isn't there a new Trump food pyramid now? It's like a tortilla, a piece of broccoli. Was it?
Oh, is that the $3 meal?
Yeah, that's
the $3 meal.
That's not the food pyramid. That's like what you can.
Well, I mean,
a tortilla, a piece of
chicken.
Given
the number of layoffs and the number of unemployed people and how high the cost of living are, that might as well be the food pyramid.
A piece of broccoli and one other thing.
I
love one other
thing.
Ramen.
Yeah. Or was it some other thing?
I thought it was one other thing because I thought they specified like one other thing. Sounds like a nutritionist with a stick up their ass or something. Tortilla, corn tortilla, piece of chicken, piece of broccoli, and one other thing, $3. So there that is. There were a lot of stories actually in the business list chat, and I mined through a couple of them. But Kyle, you wanted to say something about your ice detector. Kyle found an ice detector.
I have two different things that I wanted to talk about. IceMap.dev is definitely one of them. So there have been lots of there it is. There have been lots of different things to track ICE agents, those sorts of things. They get pulled. And students from Rice University.
Support ICE. It's a map for supporting ICE?
Yeah, so you go there and you cheer on ICE with your video cameras and you put it all on. That way everyone knows.
Sense.
Yeah.
So what this is actually doing is it's mapping data and reporting around ICE, both from news and from social media, etc. So like I'm in Atlanta, and so Stewart Detention Center is where things are going. So we can click here, and we can see, these are from last year, but they're the detailed findings about that area, along with all of the different stories that are automatically getting pulled about it. Or like you can see the hot spots on where ICE activity is. You can see all the different open cases and everything. ICE is also in my town, Mike. I'm in Atlanta, so there. Let's see. So the long weird one, that's Fulton County. Mm-hmm. So ICE is right here. Fulton County to Cobb County, and Cobb County is basically where you think of Atlanta being. And so this is Atlanta, right where that hotspot is. Now, south of Atlanta is the poor edge of the town, just like every city for some reason. And where is ICE sitting? On the south half. They're not up there where all the richer people are, because that's not what they're after. But this has data about, obviously where the people are and everything, but also like having access to these news feeds, and you can see articles as they're coming out from all the different sources they're following. So you can literally just track the things that are going on with ICE, like as they're happening, whenever you want to across the country. So I think
there
this
are
is a really cool tool.
These, but like, the problem is like the apps kept getting taken down from all the major like Google and Apple because of DHS pressuring tech companies. So
this one's
I have
Rice.
a bunch. That's awesome. Because I have a bunch of these bookmarked, but like, I think. Because if so many people are using different ones, like it can be hard to get accurate information. So like, one of them needs to catch on and become the go-to, and one that's not censorable,
or just aggregate what exists across different platforms. Yeah.
So, but that's what this is an aggregator.
Right. Yeah. So
I appreciate.
We've been needing that.
I appreciate you guys telling us how to support ICE.
You're
because
you're welcome.
Yeah.
The other thing, and I realize this is not a tech channel, but something very major has happened. This kind of terrifying, and this is inherently political in nature, so it'll make sense in a second. Everything you do is based on cryptographic certificates. I know that 3/4 of people's eyes just glazed over. Basically, a whole lot of math is done by your browser to verify that whatever website you're going to is being vouched for by one of a few certificate authorities in the world that guarantee that website is who they say they are. There's a whole trust chain in the middle. It's TLS. That's the short of the stuff you need to know there. TLS is effectively unbreakable in theory, because as long as you don't have access to one of those cert authorities, you can't break that chain. It's mathematically impossible. This last week, Notepad++, which is one of the most downloaded tools for Windows, the most popular replacement for Notepad. Devs use it, all kinds of different things.
You said it's downloaded for Windows. Who cares?
The 94% of the world that's on Windows got hacked, and they were using the general update protocol. So it's a thing that goes out, and you can either choose for it to be the secured HTTPS, which is TLS, like I was talking about, or insecure HTTP. When this first broke, everyone was like, oh, well, surely it was the people who are on HTTP. And it was not. A state actor has attacked the chain of TLS. For the first time ever, we have actually seen an injection in TLS where a state actor has figured out people that they were wanting to target. They waited until they were doing an update for Notepad++, and they injected into the manifest for the update for the program an additional file to be downloaded that allowed them to take complete control of that user's computer remotely, so they could just go through and start running things in the background as a remote user. This is still very much developing, still very new, and of course the state actors are not going to tell what they've been doing. But so far, it has signatures from one of the major hacking groups out of China. And it appears the people that are being targeted are Taiwan and Ukraine. If that doesn't immediately make you nervous, you're crazy. Because China has effectively decided, I'm accusing China as myself as a security researcher in this area. China has effectively attacked major security individuals and corporations in both Taiwan and in Ukraine, two places that they are actively in tense negotiations with, where China is standing with Russia. These Chinese groups have historically worked with the Russians directly, and so it looks very much like an attack for the Russian aggression against Ukraine, and it looks like a preparation from China to go after Taiwan. For those who have Notepad++ and haven't updated in a while, if you update at least version 8.9, 8.8.9, it's got the fix in it. It'll be fine. Don't worry about it. But so we're seeing a nation state that has cracked part of the cryptographic chain that is the thing that keeps the entire internet safe. So without that safety layer, you're basically talking about nation states being able to rewrite what website you're going to whenever they want to, rewrite whatever software is updating whenever they want to. It is pants-shittingly terrifying. It's something that, like, any piece of software that touches the internet, suddenly you have to be at least somewhat nervous that if a nation state really wanted you, they could get you through it.
Well, and this is part of the reason that I feel like the internet as we know it is becoming obsolete. That and the fact that there's so much slop on it that people don't want to see. That I feel like the internet as the one that we currently use and refer to as the internet is basically going to become some weird ghost town of robots talking to robots.
A dead internet theory will be
yes,
real,
but
yeah.
I think there's something that replaces it. I'm not sure what it looks like quite yet.
There was
So,
a brief period where, you know, you could get the truth from the internet because you could get video evidence that would have been suppressed when media was more controlled. But now with AI, right, we've looped right back around to not being able to trust anything.
well, I think there's still ways to create that. I just think that has to come after
Truth
kind of
Social.
a revolution. Well, but
I
like
mean, it's right there in the name.
a revolution in the
Truth
creator
Social,
economy,
what can you
essentially,
trust?
that deconstructs the like prevailing paradigm of corporate labor, right? Whether that's state labor, whether that's corporate labor, the more truly independent work we have, and we can have that now because of the decentralization of skill through tech, the more you actually have creators that are able to, without the influence of malign interests, create something really powerful, independent of state apparatuses, independent of surveillance apparatuses. And yeah, it's cat and mouse, it's whack-a-mole for a little while. But that's kind of my spin on
How
the dead
it always
internet
has
theory.
been, though, with people like us. Yeah, it's
Right.
always about evading the state for as long as you can,
Right.
finding
Right.
loopholes and existing in the cracks.
Yeah, exactly. And we will continue to be finding loopholes and existing within the cracks, slowly making the cracks larger and larger and larger, prying our palms against either side of the crack and peeking out our heads to engage with the world
Of the
beyond
crack?
it. In the great political prostate exam of our time. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. We will be back next Thursday, certainly with another episode of Business List. We will continue to be on various platforms. Do support the LPA. We're getting 100 Povertarians to Grand Rapids, and we need your help. All of the proceeds will go to that effort if you scan the QR code. Do donate and get some people to convention that have never been to convention before. Check out The Torch, thetorch.media. We've got some great new authors up today and some old timers that haven't published in a while. I'm looking at you, Rob Yates. Please do that. And until next time, everyone, we are The Business List.
We're gonna say anarchy. And we're gonna say anarchy. Full transparency. Now I wanna see anarchists on the business list. Destroy!